The world wakes to impossible news. Nobody dies anymore. At first, people celebrate the miracle.
Emergency rooms overflow with patients who survive catastrophic injuries but cannot recover. Confusion turns to alarm. Doctors run tests frantically. Hearts stop and restart. Brains keep firing. Biology seems frozen in place. A soldier walks from an explosion alive yet broken, bones shattered and unable to heal, consciousness intact.
Scientists discover cells that live but no longer regenerate. The machinery of life stops renewing itself.
Governments declare global emergency. Policies are rushed, but no law can fix a world without death. A child survives drowning, coughing and terrified, unable to lose consciousness despite prolonged suffering in water.
Hospitals become warehouses of suffering. Patients remain indefinitely monitored, but rarely healed or released.
Religious leaders debate meaning. Is this a blessing or a cosmic breakdown of human balance? Scientists confirm the death rate has fallen to 0. The statistical truth hits populations like a shock.
Car crashes leave bodies mangled, yet conscious. Survivors feel every pain without relief or recovery.
Funeral homes close as demand evaporates. Cemeteries become silent relics of an older world. Life insurance collapses. Financial markets plunge as entire risk models break in a single day. Nurses and doctors break down emotionally, unable to bear endless wards filled with permanent patients.
A plane crash survivor lies awake in agony. There is no mercy in a body that cannot die.
Authorities coin a term, Category 0, those who should be dead but persist, demanding resources and care. Category 0 numbers spike in government struggle under sudden, unsustainable population burdens. Media chooses discretion. Graphic injuries vanish from broadcasts. Images of eternal suffering are too disturbing. Families watch elders age and decay without release. Grief becomes endless as bodies linger on and on.
A terrible realization spreads. Immortality without renewal removes escape. Life becomes a potential nightmare. Cities slow as people hesitate to act. Streets fill with uncertainty. Movement freezes into cautious stillness.
In hospitals everywhere, monitors lie flat while patients remain conscious, staring at the same unchanged ceiling. Researchers double down on experiments, searching for mechanisms. Every result raises more questions than answers.
Newsrooms replay the same images, hospitals, lines, and scientists baffled. The world watches, unsettled and mute.
Public celebrations erupt briefly. People test the limits, taking risks they would never have before. Rescue teams emerge from fires unscathed physically, but haunted by what they witnessed and survived. Stunts and dares spike across cities. Fear fades into dangerous bravado when death disappears as a limit.
Beneath the daring, an uneasy doubt grows. What is the cost of a life that never ends?
Hospitals fill in hours. ICU beds stay occupied indefinitely, consuming supplies and crushing staff morale. Exhausted staff collapse in corridors, physically capable but emotionally broken by endless care responsibilities. Time feels stretched, minutes become heavy. Societies must learn to live with an unending present. Pharmacies are emptied as medications are consumed, but no cure returns patients to full health. Public transport jams. Trains remain full because no one leaves. The living world becomes a sealed container. Food distribution systems strain under relentless demand. Queues lengthen and tensions rise in urban centers. Apartment towers swell. Windows glow continuously. Density spikes in cities built for forgettable growth. Farmland gives way to concrete as humanity expands vertically, sacrificing soil for housing demands. New movements form in alleys and basements, religions of release, rituals pleading for a final end. Silent gatherings swell at night. People whisper about death, not as loss, but as a mercy once taken for granted.
They kneel under dim lights, not asking for immortality, but for permission to stop existing.
Candles flicker and then die. A room that once hoped now sits heavy with the weight of forever.
Air traffic becomes congested beyond control. Lanes are full and no route clears for long.
Control rooms blink as radar screens saturate. Operators face grids of endless blips and unknown futures. Flight routes tangle like knots. No empty corridor exists when no journey ever truly ends.
Airports freeze into monuments of stuck movement, runways crowded with grounded aircraft and waiting crews.
Borders harden as nations attempt to manage the endless flow. Checkpoints become pressure points. Identity systems swell under impossible loads. Registries grow impossibly long and fragile. Passports mount like fossils. Archives overflow with the record of a population never reduced. Border queues stretch for miles, choke points that reshape lives into waiting and compliance.
New facilities rise to store those who cannot be freed, rows of sealed pods and silent towers.
Sealed chambers stack into the sky, solutions that isolate bodies but do not restore living freedom.
Hospitals shift into containment centers. Patients become permanent residents under clinical lights.
Society invents storage for life, sealed rooms, pods, and quiet halls that confine without killing.
Cities grow upward in desperation, building higher to hold more people in constrained footprints. Micro apartments become standard as living space collapses. Privacy and comfort vanish into necessity.
Public squares overflow vertically. Daylight struggles through stacked walkways and layered crowds.
Energy use explodes. Power grids strain to satisfy never-ending demand from a persistent population. Global councils gather not for peace, but to ration the planet: water, food, shelter, oxygen. Maps show pressure zones where resources collapse and human density breaks local systems apart.
Even oceans become contested borders, patrolled and fenced to control movement and resource access.
Nations dig deeper for resources, carving mines and offshore rigs to feed an endless appetite.
Scientists run grim, long-term simulations. Projections arc upward into unsustainable futures and hard choices.
Every forecast bends toward catastrophe. The curves are relentless. Solutions seem increasingly narrow. Land dries and forests thin, as humanity presses on every ecosystem without relief or rotation.
Entire districts move underground to escape heat and crowding, carving livable space beneath the surface.
In shadowed tunnels, new groups debate whether humanity should have limits and who decides them.
Secret meetings whisper of choices governments refuse to discuss openly. Population control, exile, or worse.
Old printing presses return to life, producing banned leaflets and ideas that challenge imposed order.
Those ideas seep into daylight, sparking small hacks of resistance and conversation in public spaces. Technology races ahead as immortality accelerates innovation. Rockets, orbital habitats, radical engineering. Giant orbital rings and habitats begin to take shape, ambitious but insufficient to absorb the excess population.
Defense machines evolve to manage a world that can no longer lose people to conflict or time. Surveillance networks expand, watching corridors and skies for threats to strained order and supply lines.
Underground reactors glow, powering cities that have become dense mechanical organisms of human occupancy.
Elites train for endurance and control, shaping specialized forces for a future without normal human limits.
Airships and patrol craft become common, guarding transport corridors and hovering above crowded metropolises. Long-range systems, missiles, and deterrents linger as grim reminders that power still matters in a frozen world. AI steps into logistics at scale, coordinating scarce resources with algorithms humans no longer handle alone. Rocket launches light the night, a determined push into orbit as Earth grows too full to contain everyone. Supersonic transit shrinks distance but cannot shrink consequences. Movement accelerates strain across regions.
Silent submarines patrol the deep, maintaining fragile stability beneath oceans strained by increased extraction.
My daughter saluted their banner before hugging me. She already says loyalty, not love.
Our neighbor vanished after listening to a forbidden broadcast. People disappear without being dead.
I traded my father's watch for potatoes. Hunger takes dignity long before it takes bodies. My wife learns to cry quietly. Out loud sorrow becomes dangerous when silence is survival. An old photograph brought warmth and fear. Memories sharpen when there is no ending to them. Interrogation left my hands shaking for days. Pain echoes differently in an endless life.
A coworker vanished for a joke. Laughter has become a risk, not relief.
I clapped in parades while screaming inside. The show must go on, forever.
Winter punishes us more now. Cold steals life's little comforts, while bodies still persist.
A banned book warmed me like a secret fire. Stories became contraband comforts.
My daughter asked what freedom means. I had no answer. How do you explain what is gone?
Escape haunts my dreams, but fear locks me in place. The choice feels impossible in reality.
Church bells fall silent. Rituals persist, but faith frays when mortality no longer frames meaning.
Pharmacies stand empty more often. Medical privilege becomes a harsh dividing line in desperate cities.
Fuel and transport are rationed. Movement is controlled in ways once unimaginable to daily life. Shops shudder under curfew. Streets echo with the memory of commerce, now turned hollow and strained.
Families flee through dangerous borders, seeking safety, only to find crowded havens with scarce resources. District-wide blackouts become common, plunging neighborhoods into silence, where only a few lights survive.
Hospitals overflow with untreated cases. Immortality did not mean immunity. Suffering remains abundant. Cold winters quietly claim lives in forgotten alleys. Lives that continue but no longer move forward.
Economic systems break when supply lines fail and demand never drops. Markets spiral into vicious cycles.
Elite guards turn on each other as power becomes the only currency in a world that cannot end. Key leaders disappear, leaving dangerous vacuums and fragmented commands across failing institutions.
Secret radios begin broadcasting hope. Forbidden transmissions stitch small communities back into resistance.
Citizens gather at night to hear rebellious messages, risking everything for a whisper of liberation. Mass defection spread as soldiers refuse to fight for a future with no end and no reward.
Blackouts amplify unrest. Darkness becomes both cloak and catalyst for organized disruption. Statues tumble in public squares as symbols fall and societal narratives crack from within.
Sabotage cripples factories vital to the regime. Infrastructure of permanence begins to fracture.
Border regions declare independence, peeling the globe into competing, struggling microstates.
Sirens blare as coordinated uprisings erupt across cities, a chorus of resistance shaking the streets.
Rebels intercept encrypted communications, revealing fractures in command and exposing hidden vulnerabilities. Armored units clash in capital streets as control shifts unpredictably under pressure and sabotage. Secret police split into rival factions. Internal betrayal accelerates collapse from the inside out.
Leaders flee the capital in convoys, abandoning the apparatus they once commanded with certainty. A massive power hub explodes, plunging regions into chaos and shattering fragile recovery plans.
Propaganda screens break under crowd pressure, the narrative that bounds society tearing into fragments.
Thomas distributes leaflets at night with trembling hands, purpose outweighing the fear of capture.
Marchers flood toward the Capitol, carrying lights and leaflets, voices rising into a single demand for change.
The system collapses from within. Humanity faces rebuilding, still alive, forever altered by the absence of end.